Good morning, Bulls fans, and welcome to the Bulls Guys Podcast, episode 16. My partner Greg is off for today, so I'm going to carry the ship. The Bulls lose to the Milwaukee Bucks 118-112. I'm going to cover the game, give my thoughts, give my reasons why the Bulls lost this game, and what the Bulls can do better for the future. We're going to talk about all of that when we get right back.
You're listening to the Bulls Guys Podcast, where we talk about your Chicago Bulls and give an unbiased take. Thank you for listening, and like and subscribe.
So we're back on the Bulls Guys Podcast. So this game against the Bucks, man, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was really disappointed, really upset. I was supposed to do the podcast last night and then ended up not doing it. So the Bulls fall to the Milwaukee Bucks 118-112. And in my opinion, it was a game that could easily have been won. And if we just, got a couple defensive stops. And in the last couple minutes of this game, it was really evident that we couldn't get any stops. We hit a big three. And we hit, we had one big three from Zach, and I believe then we had another layup from Zach on the inside against Giannis, which should have been an and one. Officiating wasn't really good in this game either. The Bulls only got to the line 11 times, while the Milwaukee Bucks got to the line 33 times. And I just felt like this was a game where the Bulls needed to force the issue and go to the rack. If the official's not going to call the fouls, you still have to force your way to the basket. But, 12 turnovers by the Bulls, mostly unforced, just us turning the ball over. And I felt like, those plays, kind of, decided the game because it was a close game all the way through, except for that second quarter where we get down 44-33. And as now the Bulls is concerning me, so now 6-16 against teams with winning records, 16-7, 6-17, I believe, since they lost to Miami Heat as well. And you just get the sense that this team can't, get it done against good teams. They can execute and they can win, with errors against bad teams, but against good teams, you have to marginalize those errors and shorten them. I felt like AO as a rookie, it really showed. Leave Javon Carter wide open on the other side of the rim when we cut the game to 2. I just felt like that was key. It was 33 seconds left. And to put them back up by 4 after we just hit a 3 to cut it to 2, like little things like that is what separated us from the Milwaukee Bucks. But, it all comes down to discipline. I mean, you can't turn the ball over 12 times. I mean, you got to come out ready to play. I felt like, and we had little lapses. And, we went up by 7, 93-86 in that third quarter. I felt like, after Derrick Jones Jr. dunked on Giannis, I felt like I wanted the Bulls to build on that momentum, and they didn't do that. They quickly lost the lead and gave up 7 more points. And we this goes to show you have to, no matter how good you are, you can gain leads, but if you don't play defense, that lead is going to evaporate. And I'm yet to see this Bulls team commit on the defensive end just as hard as they do on the offensive end. And that's the big issue. We could talk about guys being out. We could talk about, all of the players that are out, Lonzo Ball, Alex Caruso. We could talk about anybody that's out, Pat Williams. It doesn't really matter, man. The guys that are playing now have to get it done. These guys are not going to be back till about April. So you have to find a way to get it done without these guys, or you might not even be in the playoffs or be in the play-in, fighting for your season. And, to be number one and then fall into the play-in, I don't think that would look good for Billy Donovan or AK. Trade deadline, I felt like we was too reserved. I felt like we should have made moves. We should have got what we needed and not worried about money. Sometimes I feel like this organization worries too much about money and they don't go out and get what they need. And had we had got Miles Turner, I don't think the Bulls would be struggling like they are right now. So sometimes it's priceless. Some certain things are priceless, and we needed to make moves to get size and more scoring and more size and more defense at the trade deadline. And I felt like we was too conservative and waiting on the buyout market, which you just getting, scraps players that are just gonna fill a little bit and not give you totally what you need. Tristan Thompson is good, don't get me wrong, but I felt like if it was me, I would have picked up like two big men. I would have picked up Robin Lopez and I would have picked up Tristan Thompson. But I'm not the general manager. I'm not the team president. So, I could just give suggestions. And I felt like that was the best moves to do. And based on how they're struggling, I see I was right. You can't be conservative when your team shows you all season long that they need size and they need defense. And the Bulls have shown that through all of their games in the first half of the season. Now you go into the second half with the same issues, and most teams got better. Most teams made trades, and you didn't. So you just got to do the math that teams are getting better, and you're staying conservative, even though you're showing flaws. It just doesn't add up. But in this game particularly, I felt like Billy Donovan needed to adjust his defense. I would have trapped Holiday when he started going off late, and I'll try to get the ball out of his hands. I feel like we trap too much in the middle of the floor and we leave shooters wide open. And every single player on the floor doesn't deserve a double team. And I felt like we overcommitted too much in the paint area. And personally, I'm giving Giannis those shots. I'm giving him his chances up against Tristan Thompson and Vooch. And I'm gonna chase those shooters off of the 3-point line because you can't let every single person on the Bucks eat because you're guarding one person. And Giannis still got his. He still got his. So what did you really accomplish? The guy still had 34, 16, and 5. So what did you really accomplish by doubling him the whole game? Then you let Middleton get off of 22. Then you let Holiday get off of 26. They have other stars on their team that deserves double team or even attentiveness on defense. And we didn't provide that. We just was too conservative on the defensive end. And we were turning the ball over, 12 turnovers, mostly unforced, dropping the ball out of bounds by ourselves, dribbling off our foot. Guys can't catch passes. Like, these are the kind of errors, like when you're playing up against top teams, you can't make these kind of mistakes. You just can't. It's just, it is what it is. I mean, this is not Orlando. This is not the Thunder. This is the Milwaukee Bucks, a team that won the NBA title last year. You can't make these kind of errors against them and think they're going to give you a chance to win the game. Can't turn the ball over 12 times. You can't constantly leave shooters wide open and think you're going to win the game. You can't, after you get a score, give up an open layup on the other side of the floor. And this is game 63, man. And it's only like about 19 or 20 games left or so. And we're still talking about chemistry issues. We're still talking about getting things straight. For the most part, I know we had injuries, but most of these guys have been here all year. And they know what we're supposed to run, and they know what they're expected of them, and they know what when we do certain things wrong, we're gonna lose. And I just haven't seen that adjustment. I haven't seen that correction in our errors. And that part of that falls on the coach as well, man. Billy Donovan has been seeing these guys do these things all year. To the point where I'm even thinking he's a little conservative himself on telling guys what they're supposed to do and being more strict. I feel like he's too much of a player's coach. And right now is not the time to be sweetening up the players and just doing things so players can like you. We gotta win games. We gotta win games, man. That's the bottom line. And I'm getting a little sick of being on the opposite end of the stick every time we go out here and don't take care of business against a good team and we're losing the way again to another good team. What's bragging rights? We're number 1 seed, number 2 seed in the East. When you play these kind of teams, this is a message game. And I just feel like we're too, lackadaisical and too nonchalant about everything, man. I don't see that hunger from our players. This is something I've been saying when Greg was on. These players have to get more hungry and they have to figure out what their goal is. Milwaukee's goal is to win another championship. Phoenix's goal is to get to the NBA Finals to try to win their first championship. Every single team that is in the top echelon have a goal. What's the Bulls' goal? Just to make the playoffs? I don't think that's a legitimate goal, man. I think you want to go over and beyond and over expand because you don't know your potential. So why limit yourself? But at the same time, since you don't really know, one thing you do know, you got to go hard every night. And I'm just not saying that from these guys. Vooch, stop wandering off and leaving the paint area, leaving rebounding opportunities to the other team. Stop overcommitting and doubling guys on the perimeter when your feet can't stay with them anyway because you're too slow. These are the things that is supposed to be being said. And it's like guys on this team don't know the role, don't even know where they're supposed to be on the floor. Oh, yes, they do know, or they're not disciplined to be there. But all in all, this is a self-inflicted loss. I can't blame the officials, even though the officiating was really, really bad. Really bad. I think this is one of the worst games of the year that they officiate against us. And maybe you contribute that to Tristan Thompson opening up his mouth and saying, what he was saying about, Grayson Allen. You contribute to that. The officials didn't want a dirty game tonight, so they were calling fouls. But I mean, when we get fouled, you weren't calling anything. You calling everything for Milwaukee. So since we were the aggressor, we're not getting fouled. So that's a conversation for another day. I don't really want to get into officiating. But the Bulls got to take care of their business. They got to take care of their business. When we come back, I'm going to close out the show right after this with my final word. You want the most uncensored and unbiased podcast? The Bulls Guys Podcast. There's only Kenyatta Wright and Greg Love can bring it to you. Follow us on Anchor, YouTube, and all social media platforms. You can use your support. Final word. Time for the final word. The Chicago Bulls lose another one to a good team. A competitive team, a prideful team that doesn't show up against other prideful teams. Doesn't add up. The Chicago Bulls have to show that they can beat the best of the best. Entering the playoffs just about 6 weeks away, where they're only going to play against the best. They must dig down deep. They must find out their true potential. They must find out all they can give. They must find out how high of a ceiling they can climb. Because only that effort, and that effort alone, will be necessary to get over that hump, to prove yourself against the best of the best. All right, so we got some stats here. Team high for both teams. Giannis with 34 points. (12 for 22 from the field. Zach LaVine had 30 points, shooting 13 for 26 from the field. Good night from Zach. Just wish he would have had a lot of help tonight. He made some big 3-point shots and made some big plays when we really needed it. We just couldn't get the victory for him. 3-point percentage, the Bulls shot 38% over Milwaukee's 32%. Seemed like Milwaukee shot a lot better than that, man. We need to stop shooting so much. We need to take it to the basket, especially the way this game was called. Total rebounds, the Milwaukee Bucks out-rebounded the Bulls by 10, 50-40. Turnovers, 12 for the Bulls, 14 for Milwaukee. The Bulls shot 50% from the field. The Bulls were 10 for 26 from 3. The assists, the Bulls had 25 assists to the Milwaukee's 20 assists. But this, man, fast break points 15 for the Bulls. I felt like when we got out and ran on Milwaukee, we were getting points really, really easy. Maybe that should be a strategy for us going forward against them in the playoffs. Milwaukee's largest lead in this game was 14. The Bulls had 8, which I could probably contribute to that third quarter. But a loss, man. And that's about it, man. What do y'all think? Also, leave your comments below on the show. But what do you also think about not just this game, but what do you think about LeBron James hanging it up for the year? Lakers apparently throwing in the towel on the season. And I guess we can say, as Bulls fans, we're grateful to even be still in the season. But moving forward in the season, I just want to see a more disciplined Bulls team on the defensive end, trying to take things away from teams that they like to do best. Stop giving up so many threes. Stop overcommitting, in certain areas of the court, and leave it more balanced. And just scouting teams, knowing what they like to do and what they don't like to do, make them uncomfortable. And all I've been seeing from us is we just like to score a lot of points. I want to see us play some defense. But thanks for joining me tonight, Chicago. And like and subscribe, and follow us on every social media platform: Facebook, Twitter, at Talking Bulls 82. Send us your emails if you ever want to be on the show or want us to air any questions on air. Me and Greg will much oblige. And thank you for joining me tonight. Good night, Chicago. Good night, Bulls fans around the world. Go Bulls.